Welcome to This Explainer. Look, we are going to take that often stressful English proficiency gap fill test and flip it into a completely predictable, totally manageable game plan. If you've ever just sat there sweating over a blank line on a test paper while a fast-paced audio track plays, wondering how on earth am I supposed to catch the right word, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down the actual nuts and bolts of how this test works, and more importantly, how you can beat it. So, here's our agenda for today. First, mastering the core vocabulary. Second, before the audio plays. Third, listening for hidden clues. And finally, nailing the final answer. All right, let's get into section 1, mastering the core vocabulary. Let's dive right in. Now, here is a massive, surprising shortcut for you. You actually don't need to memorize the entire dictionary. The exam heavily, and I mean heavily, recycles two specific themes. In both the listening and speaking parts, you are super likely to hear people talking specifically about their jobs or their studies. So, focusing your prep time on careers and education, honestly, that is your ultimate efficiency hack. To quickly sort through all this essential vocabulary, you've got to train your ear to catch the endings of words. Think of these suffixes as built-in cheat codes. For example, if you hear ology, boom, that instantly signals an area of study. The ending tation usually points to fields of work or study. And if you catch a word ending in well, your brain should immediately flag that the speaker is talking about specific people and their jobs. Spotting these patterns is going to save you so much crucial processing time when you're in the hot seat. Moving right along to section 2, before the audio plays. First things first, you have to understand the battlefield here. You're completing sentences by filling in the blanks, right? But the instructions are going to tell you exactly how many words you can use. Sometimes it's up to 3 words or maybe 2 words and a number. And get this, the gaps aren't just conveniently sitting at the end of the sentence. No way. They can pop up right at the beginning, buried deep in the middle, or shoved at the very end. Getting a feel for this grammatical layout is exactly what helps you anticipate what's missing. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that you can't just sit back, relax, and wait for the audio to start. You have to be proactive. You need this 3-step strategy before the track even begins to get your brain geared up. Step 1, underline your key words. Step 2, brainstorm some potential synonyms. And Step 3, predict the required word type that belongs in that gap. Literally, you are taking total control of the task before the speaker even clears their throat. By underlining those keywords, you're telling your brain exactly what kind of information to hunt for. But honestly, predicting whether that missing word is a noun, a verb, or an adjective, that's the real game changer. It means your brain is totally primed to grab that word the exact millisecond it drops in the conversation. You're not just passively listening, you are actively hunting for a very specific target. Okay, let's hit section 3, listening for hidden clues. So, remember those key words you just underlined? Well, here is the big catch. The speakers will almost never use those exact words directly. It's a classic trap. Instead, the test makers lean heavily on synonyms. Just as a quick refresher, a synonym is just a word or phrase that means pretty much the same thing as another word. And they use them constantly to paraphrase the questions. If you're just sitting there waiting to hear the exact word printed on your page, you are absolutely going to miss the answer. You're practically guaranteed to hear a synonym or a paraphrase instead of the literal words in front of you. And this is exactly why brainstorming those synonyms before you listen is basically your ultimate defense shield. You're anticipating their tricks before they even try to play them. So when they suddenly swap out the word company for business, your brain has already made the connection. Easy. Now, even if your vocabulary is top-notch and you totally get synonyms, a huge source of anxiety is just the fear of getting lost. You know that feeling. What if I miss an answer? Am I going to fall behind for the rest of the test? Well, this brings us to a super comforting rule of the exam that you absolutely need to internalize. Take a deep breath, because here is the golden rule. The audio perfectly mirrors the question order. It is a chronological guarantee. You will always hear the answer to question 1 before you hear the answer to question 2. If they suddenly start chatting about question 3, well, you instantly know you missed number 2. Don't panic, just drop it and move on so you don't derail the rest of your score. Let this chronological order be your anchor. Finally, section 4, nailing the final answer. Now, this is the execution phase, where precision is literally everything. You have to pay extremely close attention to the word count limits. If the instructions boldly shout no more than 1 word and/or a number, you have to treat that like the law. If you write 2 words when only 1 is allowed, bam, your answer is instantly marked wrong. It doesn't even matter if your listening skills are perfect. If you break the formatting rule, you lose the point. No exceptions. Oh, and here's a really sneaky little trap. Duplicating words. You gotta double check that you haven't accidentally written down an extra word that is already sitting right there next to the gap on your test paper. For instance, if the word "the" is printed right before the blank line and you write "the" inside the gap along with your answer, well, you've just duplicated the word and probably busted the word count limit. Always read your filled in gap within the context of the whole sentence. And what about numbers? Sure, you could write them out using words, but honestly, why risk it? Writing a digit like 14 takes what, a fraction of a second? Spelling out 14 takes way longer and just opens the door to a tragic spelling mistake when you're under pressure. Always take the faster route. Write the digits and dodge that spelling trap completely. Lastly, you need intense attention to grammatical detail. Be incredibly careful with your singular and plural forms when writing your final answer. If the context of the audio and the sentence grammar both demand a plural noun with an S on the end, but you write a singular one, the answer is totally wrong. It is a heartbreaking way to lose a point, for sure, so make it a rock-solid habit to double-check those word endings before moving on. All right, so we've decoded the whole shebang by turning this chronological strategy from just a list of rules into your own automatic test day habit. You are fully equipped. You know exactly how to predict, how to anticipate, and how to execute. But it kind of makes you wonder, if a language test is this formulaic and predictable, are they really testing your actual English skills, or are they just testing how well you know their game? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time.